6 years ago, I thought I was trying just the carnivore diet. Looking back, what I was really doing was pulling on a thread that would eventually unravel everything I thought I knew about health. At the time, I was a cardiac sonographer with over a decade of experience. I believed what I'd been taught. I followed the guidelines. But as my own health improved and I dove deeper into nutrition, I started asking questions. Too many questions. Questions about heart disease, questions about diabetes, questions about obesity, questions about why so many people were getting sicker despite following the advice we were told was evidence based. This was all in spring 2020 when I started the carnivore diet. And immediately I noticed the health benefits. But according to my career as a cardiac sonographer in a trauma one hospital, I was told that meat, primarily steak, was cancer causing and that it would raise my cholesterol and that would be deadly and I would have to be put on all of these medications. However, what else happened in spring 2020? COVID did. And I noticed that when I got rid of all sugar, all carbs, I didn't get sick, despite taking care of the sickest of the sick in 2 hospitals. I never got sick. In fact, my health improved the more meat I ate. And that was just opposite of everything that I had been taught. So it became very difficult for me to continue to do my career without having this negativity that I had formed in my head about what I was doing, what I was saying. I was starting to pay attention to the trays that my patients would get at the hospital post-op. I was seeing pancakes and sugar-ridden orange juice and processed foods. No whole foods were being served to these patients of mine despite having type 2 diabetes. None of that was making sense to me. And one thing led to another with the carnivore diet. I started researching people that were on carnivore. This had been suggested to me by my fertility doctor at the time, Dr. Kiltz. And I started looking at other physicians that were doing the carnivore diet. And I was seeing how they were promoting all of this natural health. And that's really the opposite of what I was doing. We were not discussing diet. We weren't discussing ways to get off of medications. And the longer I was, I guess, awakened to health, natural health, the more my career was starting to really weigh on me. I was at the height of my career when I decided to walk away in September 2021. As many of you know, I turned down a certain thing that was mandated at the time because I was so concerned about what I was putting in my mouth. I was also concerned about what was being put in my body. So that was the beginning of me walking away from my career. In 2021, I had been doing my career for 11 years at that time, and I was very blessed. I was able to take a management job as the lead cardiac sonographer for a major outpatient practice in Northern Virginia that didn't mandate such things. And I was very blessed to have that. However, having reached the height of my career and being forced to walk away from that, something really changed in me. And my husband and I have been discussing this in depth as I'm still working on my fertility treatment and feeling as best as I can. But my sleep really started changing probably October 2021. Something changed in my head. Something changed the way I viewed my career. And I knew there was no going back, unfortunately. I went from having my echoes sent up to Brigham Women's, Harvard. I was doing research echoes at the time, and the echoes had to be perfect. I was really, really good at my job. I want to say I was one of the best. My career was everything to me. I spent my weekends creating PowerPoints and learning and taking courses on echo, and I was up to the latest and greatest. I knew everything that was going on in the world of echocardiography. I knew it all. And then I took this management job, and something was just kind of chipping away at me. Well, management was not for me, thanks to certain people at this practice. I gave it my all. I did all that I could. Management just wasn't for me. So I became my own boss in fall 2022. And I thought, this is going to change everything. I can name my price. I knew I was good and I had that confidence about me. So I named my price. I could pick my schedule. I could pick my workload. And I started off, when I was my own boss, I started off with about 10, maybe 12 patients. And the next, 3 years, 4 years, I became greedy because I kept putting my value on the dollar sign. The more patients I did, the better I still was, even though I was outpatient performing 2D echoes at the most basic level. And I worked my way up. I think I topped out at 22 patients in 8 hours. I was making money hand over fist. And yet, I was stressed. My hormones were suffering. I was not still doing the carnivore diet. I have been low carb, meat based since 2024. But I've been adding in some other foods according to the Weston A. Price diet, working on my thyroid, working on my health, which that has helped, by the way. Ferments and small amounts of carbs did wonders for my thyroid. Anyways, I always chased the money in this career. I chased the titles. I chased the bonuses. I chased the highest salary. I chased everything that they could throw at me. I chased the healthcare for IVF, if they included that. Everything was focused around what could I do that will allow me to pursue IVF. So the more money I made, I wasn't happier. And of course, the more money you make, the more you spend. And we have had a great time in the past 3 years traveling. However, that hasn't helped my health. That hasn't helped my mood at home. That hasn't helped my job. So the more I scan, the more I noticed a difference in me. I wasn't this happy-go-lucky Nora that used to bebop around the offices. And a lot has changed in me, and not for the best. Back in 2021, I knew that something needed to change. And so at that time, the Emmerichs, Maria and Craig, had a program for a keto carnivore health coaching certification. And I bought that, spent the money back in fall 2021, and I said, I'm going to become a health coach. I was so excited, so pumped. And then I took that management job, and my entire world revolved around that 7 days a week because this practice does not close. It's absolutely mind-blowing. They were even working on Sundays. But anyways, I bought that health coaching program and I pushed it to the side because I honestly forgot about it. I was so busy, so wrapped up in the management job. And then in, 2022 or 2023, I decided, okay, I'm going to try something else. I am good with my hands. So I am going to attempt to become a lash technician. And so I paid for schooling and did most of that program and found out it's just not for me because I'm still working on echo. I've perfected echo. So why am I going to start this new career and have to find clients and work 2 jobs? And that just sounded exhausting to me. And so I gave that up. More money wasted. Fast forward to spring 2024, and I am given this opportunity to drive out to the country to perform these echoes with this cardiologist who is so passionate about natural health. He is not a pill pusher. He cares about his patients so much that he spends probably double to triple the amount of time on every patient than all of the other doctors I was working with. He takes his time. None of his patients leave his practice questioning anything about their care that they're receiving, their medications. He breaks everything down for them. And I took this job despite it being a 50-mile drive each way, 100 miles each day, an hour and 15 minutes minimum each way. But I drove out to the country to take care of these patients and to work with this brilliant man who would even sit me down and ask for my opinion on hospital echoes that he was reading because he was taking call at the hospitals as well. And so I got 2 years of that bliss. However, my job was still grating on me. The more I would learn, because I listened to all these podcasts, the more I learned, the more I knew I needed to start stepping away. I met Dr. Ovadia in May 2024 at KetoCon in Austin, Texas. And I knew about his book. I had bought his book. I had been following him on social media. And I walked up to him and introduced myself and said, "Hi, I'm Nora. I'm an echo tech, was one of the best. My echoes were sent to Harvard." And he said, "So?" Guys, I was like, that's me. I was so proud of this. And once I stepped back and I realized he doesn't care about, I guess, Western medicine, and he didn't respect them as much because of what they do, what they stand for, which is the pill pushing. And he heals his patients through diet and lifestyle, not the way that regular cardiologists handle their patients. And I had such respect for him, and I didn't understand what he meant until recently. I did take offense to that, but now I respect him even more because he said that. So that was May 2024. And I don't know, he and I had talked about some kind of a job at that time, me doing echoes for him. It was exciting. It was a lot. And so that was kind of pushed to the side until November last year at Hack Your Health in Tampa, Florida. I am friends with Charles Mayfield, who owns the phenomenal skincare line Pharaoh, the lard-based. And I was chatting with him, and he introduced me to someone on Dr. Ovadia's team and said, "You need to know Nora. She works in cardiology." And I had an informal interview at that time. Well, some things happened with me, and I came home from Hack Your Health and had to pick up pretty much double full-time work due to some finances. And my health got worse. I felt worse. My mood was more negative. And in February, this same person that I was introduced to in November reached out to me. He called me, and we had the most amazing conversation. And apparently it was an interview. I had no idea. This was February this year. And he introduced me to some more members of the team. And they said they wanted me a part of Dr. Ovadia's team. And I said, after 16 years of being in cardiology, I can't start at the bottom. So what option do I have? And they said, how about a health coach? My husband has been pushing for me to be a health coach since I became my own boss in 2022. I have unofficially been coaching my patients. Because I've been my own boss, I have that freedom to say what I would like to within reason. I always preface it, I am not a doctor. I am my own boss. These words are my own, but I am able to talk to them about processed foods, sugar, type 2 diabetes being reversible, how cholesterol is not the enemy. Bryce, my husband, said, "Nora, this is your future. This is your path forward." So when they mentioned in February, "We want you as a health coach," Bryce said, "Whatever it takes, we're doing it." And I said, "Hold on. I paid for a health coaching certification almost 5 years ago. Would you accept this?" The stars aligned, the doors opened, and they said yes. So guys, I took this certification despite working double full-time just about all of my conferences I've been on this spring, and I got it done in a very short time frame. And I'm still driving out to Culpeper. I did cut back from the other contracting jobs I was doing. April 1st, I had cut back to just my country practice 1 to 2 days a week. And I was thrilled. I was making the money. I had 5 to 6 days off a week. It was wonderful. And now I have Dr. Ovadia's possible job opportunity. Well, about 6 weeks ago, the doctor that I highly respect, who also does not believe that cholesterol is the leading cause of heart disease, but inflammation is. I mean, he was just very as like-minded as you could get for a Western medicine cardiologist. Just love him. But he pulled me into his office and he said, Nora, I know this isn't what you were expecting, especially since you just cut back to me. However, I am retiring July 2nd. And guys, the first thought that came across my head was relief. Because I knew that I wasn't going to move forward with my life, whether that means with a family, my health, as long as I had my foot in the door with Echo. In the back of my mind, I knew that that wasn't possible. And even this doctor said, a year ago? We've had some talks, especially with my miscarriages. He pulled me in about a year ago and he said, Nora, Echo no longer defines you. You need to find what does. And guys, I've been searching for that. I've had my sourdough journey. I've had my gardening. I've had my conferences, and nothing has given me purpose until now. So I reached out to Dr. Ovadia's team and I said, well, looks like I'm completely opening up. My schedule is wide open. The doctor I work with is retiring, and now I'm free. I have completed this course, and please keep me in mind for the future. I was responded to immediately. Things were set into place. They said, we are scheduling all of the interviews. We've got an opening for you. I wound up having a wonderful interview with Dr. Ovadia himself, and then more people on the team. And I received my formal job offer on May 29th. And I had mentioned, I can't work 40 hours a week anymore. I'm not there. I have had this flexibility for almost 4 years and I can't go back to full time. So I will be working 30 hours a week. And for the first time, I said yes to a job, not for the money, not for the prestige, not for the title. I said yes because this is something I am completely passionate about. This completely aligns with the new, completely denormalized Nora. I mean, there's nothing left to denormalize after I have made this job change. And they want me, despite not having been a health coach before. They are going to train me from ground up. I am going to be helping patients officially with diet and lifestyle going forward. I haven't figured out everything where I'm going to know more when I start officially, but I believe it is a meat-based, high animal fat diet that I am going to get to promote to help heal these patients. Dr. Ovadia healed so many of his comorbidities on a carnivore diet. He lost all of this weight thanks to carnivore, and that is how he is helping his patients stay off of his operating table. And I am going to get a part in that going forward. I'm going to be a part of a team that heals cardiac patients completely naturally. This is not the way I saw myself going forward. This is not the path I had expected. And so that is the only challenge I am dealing with right now. I had expected to end my Echo career with a baby in my arms, or at least pregnant. That's how I thought I was moving forward. However, God, the universe, whomever has opened every single door leading to this moment. I did not expect the cardiologist I completely respect to retire. Neither did he. He's very young and he's stepping away for family reasons. So this was out of left field, and yet everything has aligned for me to take a job with purpose and passion and to still use my cardiac experience, So it's the best of both worlds. I don't have to start from scratch as a health coach. I don't have to find my own clients. I am given my clients and I will be a part of a team. I'm going to learn as a team. And I never go halfway with anything that I do. I go all the way in. And so another little thing that I have decided to do, not little, but I have decided that I want to be the best of the best. Will I? I don't know, but it's something I'm going to strive for my clients, for my patients, and for Dr. Ovadia. I guess I want to really show him who I am. And so I have signed up for the Primal Health Coaching Institute to become a primal health coach. And I didn't just stop there. I decided I wanted to be a master primal health coach. So that is the end goal. That should be completely done by next winter. I will have my base primal health coaching certification done over the next couple of months. I have already began it while I have been helping close this practice in Culpeper. So, holy moly, guys, it has been a crazy, 4 months since this all started. It has been a whirlwind with multiple conferences. I did see Dr. Ovadia again at Meatstock this past early May, and I had actually walked up to him because I was speaking things into existence at that time. I just heard Ben Adzadi give his speech again about speaking things into existence and proclaiming them. So I walked up to Dr. Ovadia and said, "Right, I'm going to be your next health coach," despite not going through all of the interviews yet. But it worked out, and I am going to be his next health coach. I will begin in a couple of weeks. I am thrilled. The day that I start my career and end my career are within one day of each other. And so this is a huge next chapter for me. I will be working from home completely. I am praying that I will still get to have my morning sun on top of my hill here at the house, and then really get to slow down and focus on this new career instead of continuously escaping my life here in Northern Virginia. We do have some trips planned. We have camping trips, obviously, and a vacation, and then I have some conferences this fall. So, but then I really expect life to slow down drastically for us because I am praying that this new path forward fills me with so much passion. And I mean, I had the passion, but so much purpose that I will be content here in my home with my kitties. And yes, still praying that this leads to full healing and eventually still a baby for us. That is still my dream and my ultimate goal. But I wanted to share that with all of you followers. I am so grateful that God has put this in my path and that I get this incredible opportunity at age 40 to do something that I think I'm going to love. I had some patients last week. Usually I'll get 1 or 2 patients every 2 to 3 weeks that I'll get to health coach. I had 5 in one day. 2 of those people asked for my phone number, and we actually wound up chatting about health after I got off of work. They reached out to me and we talked. So that was, I call them little God winks. That was a little God wink that, yes, you are on the right path, Nora. And while it's not what I expected in life, nothing has been for us. Nothing has been as we've expected. But I'm going to lean into this, and I am just going to have faith that this is meant to be, and I'm going to go all in. Thank you for listening, and keep me in your prayers and your thoughts as I begin this next chapter.